A low trust society came from people being overly autistic about the already minimum crime rate. Low trust society came about from a concerted bourgeois propaganda campaign that people used in order to justify higher and higher police budgets even after crime plummeted after the mid-90s. That's why. You could justify higher police budgets throughout the 90s because crime was pretty damn high. You could just point to the crime rate and go, yeah, maybe some more cops in the beat. I don't blame somebody for living in Detroit in 1989 and going like, yeah, I could go for some more cops around here. Sometimes I feel like there aren't enough cops around here. I understand it, okay? It was a very different world back then. But since then, the country's gotten a lot safer, a lot safer. So they had to find a way to continue to justify like increasing police crackdowns, militarization of the police with post-Iraq war weaponry, just fucking the crime in RoboCop was only slightly exaggerated. Yeah, that's the reason why in RoboCop the point wasn't that there wasn't crime. The point was the corporations are increasing the crime and profiting off of it. 80s and 90s serial killers definitely had a role in increase the paranoia. Okay, yeah, but that shit's like made up. It's not made up, I'm sorry, but like this is like the 80s and 90s equivalent of following true crime and having your politics determined by it. There aren't that many serial killers. Like, relative to people who die in car accidents and gang violence, it's just like you can't... Also, cops are really bad at dealing with serial killers. Cops are mostly good... Well, they're bad at everything, let's be fair. But to the extent at which cops help, they help as a deterrent or in, like, securing areas that have high gang violence or in responding to, like, crimes of passion or interpersonal violence. Serial killers are, like, the FBI estimates that there are lots of serial killers that have never been caught because it's genuinely just difficult to catch serial killers. It's very difficult. Cops are good at Candy Crush. That is true. So it's difficult or they're bad? Both. It's difficult because finding, like, the murderers is just hard if they're trying not to be caught, but it's also difficult because of the predilection of the cops. Unlike what you might see in TV or whatever, when like, serial killings happen, oftentimes the cops aren't going to go, the media's at my door. They're asking me questions that I can't answer. McCannigan, you need to go out there and find these answers now. What usually happens is they're like, wow, this killing makes us look really bad in the press. Are there any fucking homeless black people around that we can pin it on? Or can we say it was someone else? Or maybe someone who's already in prison? Or can we, like, find a scapegoat or something? There are so many examples you can point to of cops looking for scapegoats because they're furious that they don't have anything to give the media. Because it makes the cops look terrible when there's a high-profile murder they don't have an answer to. So sometimes they just run to the nearest, like, scapegoat they can find. That's not anti-cop lefty sentiment. This has happened multiple times. Only recently, by the way, have we started to unwind a lot of that with forensic evidence, like DNA evidence proving that people who were accused of those crimes didn't do them. And that's the main reason why, over time, the proportion of homicides that have been solved by cops has gone down, not up. Hold on, let me find that. Percentage of homicides solved by cops over time. The reason that line has gone down over time, in all likelihood, no one knows the answer like 100% for sure, but the most likely reason why is because it used to be that whenever a homicide would happen, cops would just blame whoever they could get a hold of, nobody would challenge them on the accusation, and that would be that. Back in 1965, clearance rate was 91%. 91%. Before real forensic evidence. So, let's be real here. They grab the first person they found off the street. Grab a person off the street, bully them into a confession. Nowadays, it's at nearly 50%. It might actually be below 50% now, because this chart stops at 2020. That's actually kind of horrifying. Yep, it's pretty bad. That's true. CCTV has also been gone a long way towards preventing false incarcerations, for sure. Yeah. Forensic evidence, stuff like that. Bully a person into a confession, which we know cops can do and do very regularly. I remember in the case in the 30s where Ohio police under pressure took a random guy and coaxed out a confession that made him kill himself in jail. Yeah, it sounds about right. All right, well, anyway. All that depressing business aside, we're getting a new ghost in the show. Hey, speaking of police incompetence, you want to get right down to it, you know? Now, listen, not everyone on the force is like the Major, okay? If you're familiar with the source material, all right? Not everyone has poofy hair like that. Basically, what I'm saying is that I think cops would be okay if this is what they looked like. I'd be way less mad about them. I can tell you that. That's for dang sure. If they were hot. No, no, no. Hot isn't enough. They need to be like robot ladies with 80s hair. That's different. Because there are like hot cops just as a product of the mathematical certainty when you have hundreds of thousands of cops in the country, right? But that's not enough. They need to have big poofy 80s hair. And I don't want to argue about that. I just want that to be taken as fact. Are we okay with that?